Hello again, and welcome to Winning with the Wrangler at Dick Powell's Leadership Corner, brought to you by Earth, Wind, Fire, Water Training and Development, where our passion is building leaders of today and tomorrow. The information on today's program was gathered at many different places and many different people. So if you hear yourself in our conversation today, realize this: it's not all about you. Now, for speaking or appearances or just to come and be with your group and do some leadership opportunity, give us a call, 727-422-1833, 727-422-1833, or send me an email at ewfw.org. Okay? Pretty easy. Go to the website, www.ewfw.org. It's all real pretty easy. You know, here at Earth, Wind, Fire, Water, we're always encouraging you to take that next step in learning how to be a better leader. You see, these things don't just pop up and get done all by themselves. It just doesn't happen. And for a limited time, we're going to offer personal, business, and life coaching sessions just for you. If you give us a call here, we're going to work with you to learn how to do the research, get prepared before you execute, and then to network, celebrate, and evaluate. Now, give us a call real soon. We've got a special running on this, and just give us a call, 727-422-1833. Today, well, I'm going to talk about some things that aren't so pretty. You see, we have learned over and over that leaders sometimes make some errors. Some of these errors are committed without even some thoughtfulness to it. So let me go over them, and then I'll give you some really positive ways to make sure that you don't fall into those traps. Now, leaders, first of all, we find that when a leader is failing or not doing well, there's a lack of commitment to themselves and to the organization. This commitment takes time to build. Now, I'm going to tell you this doesn't happen overnight. But if you accept a situation, you need to commit to it. Not 10%, not 50%, but you're in it 100%. You're all in. And people around you are going to know whether you're all in or not. So be committed to the opportunity. Another thing that we've noticed over and over is the lack of focus. When leaders get so wound up in so many different things, let me tell you what happens. You just can't do everything well. You start to really maneuver down and do things okay and good. Now, that will cause a problem. So, as leaders, we need to learn to focus in on that vision, on that mission. And we need to focus in on the strategy, the day-to-day plan on how we're going to live that mission and achieve that vision. Because people do what people see and people repeat what people hear. Those around you that you're leading, that are coming along with you, can see very quickly whether you're focused and committed or you're just there collecting your paycheck. Big difference, isn't there? Now, the scary part about it is it seems like in today's world in America, so many people, they get some letters behind their name, and all of a sudden they feel like they deserve to get whatever they got without being committed and without the focus that it takes. You see, it's not all about you. Leaders, it's never all about you. and that's the important part to learn. Also, we have found that leaders who make excuses all the time are ones who all of a sudden get questioned whether or not they are committed. And we know for sure if they're making a lot of excuses, they're not focused. Now, why is that so important? Well, first of all, to me, there's no excuses. Ever. Never excuses. You see, you tell someone you're going to do something, you do it. If you say that we're going to work this project, we're going to work it. And you know what? We're going to try something new. We're going to try something new. And the worst that can happen is if it doesn't work. So if it doesn't work, no big deal. You do the evaluation and find out what didn't go right, and you do something different. But what you learn from it, that's the piece. You see, that really brings us to that next piece. You know, forgetting to see the big picture. So many times we run into situations where leaders get so wound up. They get so focused on too many different things that they just have forgotten what the vision and mission were. And the people around them go, where are they going? And where are we going? And what are we doing? And this thing of not seeing the big picture, man, it gets important. It's that future picture. It's called a vision. So many times a vision is just written on a wall or on a letterhead, and it's never spoke of again. It's never explained. It's never shared. It's not lived. That's the difference. That's the difference. This next one is a hard one to curb yourself. If you're a leader, you cannot go to the public with your personal thoughts. You might have personal thoughts that just need to stay personal. And if they come out, that's going to ruin your reputation, ruin your trustworthiness, and it's just not necessary. We all have negative and down times from time to time. There's not a one of us that doesn't. The difference is great leaders never let that show. They might talk to their spouse or significant other. They might talk to someone that they truly trust, but they never take it out in public. That's a good thing to remember. Oh man, I really, when I hear this one, it just shatters me. But I've heard many leaders say it. That's good enough. That's good enough. That's good enough? Is it really? Did you really put out all your effort? Did you really put forth what you need to do to make it great? Excellent? Did you really do your best, or was it good enough? When I was growing up, my grandfather, if he heard you say that, you would find out what good enough was all about. You see, he believed, and I do too, it's going that extra mile. It's doing more than what you're asked to do. It is taking it to its fullest. It's taking yourself to the fullest. You know, when you're not doing your best, you're not living up to your best, and it's just good enough, you're just squeaking by. It's just good enough. No, it doesn't matter much. It's good enough. Well, let me ask you a question. You want to follow someone who says it's good enough? Do you want to be around people that say it's good enough? Do you want to be in an organization that says, well, it's good enough? I hope you've answered that with a big no. Because leaders, that's something I would curb pretty quickly out of my rank and file. But you have to clear it out of yourself first. Mm-hmm. When leaders can't take direction, they can only hand it out. When they can't take some positive criticism, when they can't take direction from their upper level, when they just have to do it my way or the highway, that's a problem. And that's when we're called in to say, gee, we're not moving forward. Our rank and file have bad attitudes. What can you do? They ask me, what can you do to fix this? And I often tell them it's not because they're terrible people, or not because it's just we need to work on our thought processes, and we need to work on our attitudes and the words we're using. Well, that's just good enough. But when leaders can't take direction, that's a problem. When leaders behave inconsistently. I'll bet we've all known someone who acted one way on the golf course, one way at home, one way in the boardroom, one way when they were out on the floor. And they were so inconsistent that no one ever knew exactly what was going to happen. They could not figure out what was going on, and they were always uncomfortable, always on edge, always walking on eggshells. Ladies and gentlemen, when that happens, this inconsistency not only tells something about your personality, but it also tells something about your company, your organization, how it's going to be working. Recently, I was at a religious organization when this person, boy, I'll tell you, it was like night and day when they would be standing in front of the congregation and then standing down inside the congregation. And then when they were outside on their own, outside at the golf course, it was 3 different people. And when that happened, people realized that this was all an act. It wasn't real. And so accountability went away. Trust died. And someone new has that job now. I want you to think about that. Great leaders forge great relationships. There used to be a saying about leading with walking around. I know I worked in a large organization. I was a director of education. And as a director, the person I reported to said, you need to be in your desk and you be on these conference calls. Well, by God, those conference calls would last 2 and 3 hours. And I was not building the relationships with the people I needed to be building with. The other instructors who were out on the floor, the people who were coming in the training department, the people who were outside in the working trenches and asking them what they needed to be trained on to do their job. Well, I was fortunate enough to retire pretty soon after that new person came on above me. And since then, I've always run my organizations just a little bit different. Ran into that person now that he's retired, and you know what? He just hasn't changed any. It's still his way or the highway. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about a way to ruin your leadership? There you go. You do that, I guarantee it, it won't last too long. And your trust value of your people will go down in a heartbeat, and it'll hardly ever come back up. The last one on my list is really this. Avoids change at all costs. Keeping everything status quo, never moving ahead, never moving back, never moving sideways, just keep on plugging along, doing the same thing we did yesterday, the same way we did yesterday. If you want to make sure that your organization fails, all you got to do is make sure that you look at change as the most terriblest thing in the world, and you avoid it at all costs. Let me give you personal advice here. Change is the only thing that you can count on. It's going to happen every single day. Whether it's the weather, whether it's the time, whether it's the organization, whether it's the people, everything's going to change every single day. So again, if you really want to take and ruin your organization, you really want to put your leadership to the test, don't be committed to the organization and the people. Have scattered focus be so all around that you're trying to do everything on your own. Look for excuses so that when things don't get done because you're so scattered, You try to blame it on someone else. Forget about the big picture. It's all about you. You know, go public with every little thought that's coming through your mind. Just put it out there for everybody to hear and read. You know, always have this motto written on your lips. That's good enough. That's good enough. And, you know, don't take any direction from anybody. Tell everybody it's your way or the highway. Stick to it. You know, behave inconsistently. You know, put on a false face when you're at work and put on a false face when you're at home and do something else when you're out playing golf with the buddies. Use those words that you shouldn't be using anywhere. You know, you're out in the golf course, it might be okay. Well, it's not. It's in the boardroom. No, it's not either. You know, I guarantee you'll rub off at home too. Create lasting relationships. Well, don't do that. You know, you don't need relationships. I had a feller the other day tell me, "Hey, Dick, you know, you try to build a bridge all the time with everybody around you. You try to find something in common and have something with them. Why do you do that? I mean, you know, they work for you, by golly. Just tell them what to do." I said, well, I have found that just doesn't work real well. I know I don't like to be told that kind of thing, and I don't like to work for people who do those kind of things. I sure as the devil won't follow anyone. Yep. You really want to ruin your organization? Avoid change at all costs. Now, I'm going to tell you what. If you want to build your organization, you want to build yourself, if you want to have the most successful place in the world, all you got to do is turn that around. Just have some commitment, not just to your organization, but to the people within it and the people without it. People inside and outside your organization have to be committed to that whole piece. Be committed to the vision and the mission. So you can plan, you can do the strategy. Stay focused. Stay focused. Make sure that you're looking at your priorities through that focus. How am I going to do today, and how am I going to do it, and who do I need to do it with? Stay focused on the long range piece. That vision. Stay focused. And everyone else will too. You really want to be a success? You want to make your company great? No excuses. No excuses. Something don't go right, admit to it, figure out what went wrong, figure out what you need to do next, change it. Woo-hoo, there's that word change. Do something different. Try something new. Don't make excuses. Didn't work, say so. Man, oh man, I tried my best. It didn't work. What are we doing next? Let's do the evaluation and find out what happened. Then ask yourself two questions. What did I learn from that? And what will I do different? Two great things to always be asking yourself. Yep, you want to really make sure that your organization goes and grows, whether it's a religious organization or a big for-profit. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Make sure that everyone can see the big picture. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, everybody should know what the vision is. Everybody should see that long-range picture. Everybody should be able to repeat it. Not only repeat it, but live it. And live it through the mission of the organization. When that happens, it becomes ingrained in each and every person. And when it becomes ingrained in each and every person, you know what? Everyone stays focused. Well, I think that was one of the first ones we talked about, how to be a great organization. Man, oh man, I am something else. If you really want to make a wonderful corporation, you're going to always come out in public with positive approaches, positive pieces. That doesn't mean from time to time you're going to have to say, hey, you know, that thing didn't work real well, and we're going to have to do something different. Because it will. What it means is this. You always find a positive way to present it. Not everything's going to work, but I'll tell you what, no negativity comes out of the leader. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of that motto, it's good enough. Strive for excellence. We strive for excellence in everything we do. That's a lot different than, well, that's good enough. Good enough. Man, when I used to hear that, I used to just send boy, you could ask anybody that worked with us on the cruise that it would just send it right up my backbone, and I would have to say something about it. Because good enough, it's just never good enough. If you want to really, really, really make sure that your organization is a winner, it comes out on top every single time, as a leader, take some direction from people around you. If you can't ever admit that you don't know what you don't know what you don't know, you don't know enough to be there in that leadership position. You see, no, it's good to know your gifts and talents, and do what I tell you to do is this. Do what you do best and farm out the rest. You see, when you bring people around you who know more, are quicker, faster, better than you are, it's amazing the things you can make happen. But you get stuck in your rut, you'll be calling us in, and we appreciate it. If you really want to be a great leader, you really want to make sure that people do what people see and people repeat what people hear, you need to be intentional about living your life consistently. That doesn't mean you won't screw up from time to time. It means people are going to see that you have an intentionality of living a lifestyle in word, deed, action, and everything from being at home, taking care of the children, maybe at the work, out playing golf or baseball or whatever it is. They're going to see that you have the same values and morals, and you're going to put them in place no matter where. That you're going to make the same ethical decisions no matter whether you're at work or at home or at your nonprofit or wherever it is. You're going to be consistent in your choices and in your decision making. This is a big one. When we found that we work with individuals, we get them to start being intentional about their consistency in their life, home, work, everywhere, we over and over see that person's growth. We see their organization's growth. We see the nonprofit grow. We see everything start to come together. Because it is so true. People are always watching what you do and mimicking what you don't. Well, I have to tell you, creating great relationships is a big one for me. You want to really build an organization, you need to know the people who clean your office and have a relationship with them. You need to know the people who are out digging the holes if that's part of your organization. You need to know who's typing things up for you, who's doing what, when, where, how. And it means more than walking through the office and saying, well, hey, how you doing? Take time to know their names. Now, we had a pretty large organization back then, and we all did have some name tags. And I encourage people to use them, especially at the beginning of each year when we would have new students coming through. So that student could call you by your first name. And I encourage the students to do the same so that the instructors could do the same and talk to them in their first name. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't long before most of the instructors, I mean almost everybody that was on staff, didn't really need those name tags. After the first few days, you found the instructors knowing the names, knowing their personalities, know what they could and couldn't do, know what their gifts and talents were, and we're able to bring it to them in a different manner. When we do that, we see over and over relationships are the big key in any organization. They're a big key in nonprofits where people don't have to be there. They're a big key in religious organizations, especially for the leadership. If the leadership hasn't taken time to know and like and trust the people within the congregation, it's really a non-starter for most people, unless they really want to be the person sitting there and never be known. And I'll tell you, they're pretty few. Everybody wants to be involved with something. Everyone wants to be recognized for something. And we need to make sure that we're doing that. You want to have a number one builder? Build relationships. Don't ever tell the guy, I don't want to build a bridge, and I don't see why you do either. I haven't given up on that feller. I probably won't. I'm still going to keep looking, but it's been tough. Build good relationships. And by golly, understand that change happens. You know, the way we used to do sales and marketing and the way we did things in the past, well, some of it still works, but most of it doesn't. I want you to think about your vehicles. You know, in the past you had a Model T. It had one speed, one gear, and it went one you know, and you know, it had little bitty skinny tires. What are you driving now? That's change, kid. And every year that change. I mean, a friend of mine just bought a new vehicle and it's got cameras, you know, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, 2 in the sides. It can drive itself. That surely wasn't my first car. It had 3-speed on the column. You know, it was a little 6-cylinder, and we were thankful for an 8-track tape player. And you know, things change, and people change. The words we use change. The places we go change. And if you don't change with them, well, quite frankly, you got a problem. Now, I'm going to tell you this much, though. Your vision and mission probably won't change. Your strategy, how you work with people, and the relationships you build very well might. This is an important piece. So if you really, really want to have 100%, you want to build your company, you want to build your nonprofit, you want to build your church, I'm going to tell you what. You're the leader, have commitment. Be committed. Stay focused. No excuses. Encourage everyone to see the big picture. Go public with only positive pieces, but keep them informed with good communication. Adopt the motto of excellence. You know, it's good. And it's not just good. You understand? Excellence. Okay? Well, leaders, learn how to take direction from other people. You know, it won't hurt. You can give it a try. You'll be surprised what you'll learn and how far you'll go. Behave consistently. I can't tell you how important this is to encourage yourself and be intentional about behaving intentionally and consistently. Build good relationships. Build great long-term relationships. Get to know people, what their gifts and talents are. You just never know who's sitting next to you. And enjoy change. Just enjoy it. Boy, I see our time has run past me again. I'm running down on the end of it again. Well, on behalf of myself, Dick Powell, and the whole Leadership Corner team, we want to say thank you for being a part of today's program. You know, our hope and dream is that you've received a nugget of wisdom and guidance that will help you build your leadership ability. Now, if you have any questions or comments on today's program, don't hesitate. Give us a phone call, 727-422-1833. 727-422-1833. Send me an email, dick@ewfw.org. dick@ewfw.org. You know what? Go to the website and spend some time. And then click on that little box, send me a note, www.ewfw.org, www.ewfw.org. It's pretty simple. And you know what? When you know that you're ready to have me come out and give a presentation on leadership and accountability, maybe a keynote speech, maybe just come out and do some instruction at lunchtime. But until next time, this is D.W. the Wrangler saying, ride hard, ride fast.